With the month of April almost here, it is once again time to run down all of the new PlayStation 4 games that are coming out next month and deciding which games are worth buying right away and which games you would better off be waiting on a sale for. We've got a total of 18 games to go over, and as you guys always know, I'm a little bit selective on which games I recommend you to buy based on pricing, based on my speculation on how good the game is going to be, and based on how quickly I think the game will go on sale. In this case, in the month of April, I actually have quite a few games that are categorized as buy titles. However, the majority still fall in the wait for a sale category, as I still try to remain a little bit selective. But without further ado, let's get right into it. And first of all, starting things off in the buy category, I have to say that Days Gone is a buy. This might be a little controversial with some of you guys, in all honesty. A lot of you guys might see Days Gone with a little bit of skepticism, and rightfully so. It is the first game by Sony Bend Studio on the PlayStation 4. It is their first foray into a AAA game in a very long time. Their last title, Uncharted Golden Abyss, you can make the argument on whether or not that was a AAA experience, but that was released on the PlayStation Vita. However, even though I wasn't fully sold on Days Gone back in 2016 when we initially saw the game, the more and more I saw of this game, the more and more I'm being sold on this game, and I do think it's gonna be a rather remarkable game. Do I think it's gonna get in the tier of, say, cracking a 90 on Metacritic? No, but I do think it'll be in the mid to high 80s, and in terms of a quality level, I think it'll be at the level of, say, a Marvel Spider-Man, maybe not at the level of the elite PlayStation 4 exclusives like a God of War and Uncharted 4, but I do think Days Gone is going to be received rather well. And if you look at the history of PlayStation 4 exclusives, especially marquee PS4 exclusives, they don't tend to go on sale all too quickly. Even a game like Spider-Man, that game only recently had a price drop to $40, and what, it's been out for a little over 6 months at this point. If you really want to wait 6 to 7 months to get Days Gone $20 off, I mean, knock yourself out. But I do think this is going to be a game worth buying on day one, and I do think Sony Bend Studio is going to end up delivering with it. I don't think Sony would have put as much of a promotional push behind this game if they weren't as confident as they are about how this game is going to turn out. There's obviously a little bit of planning that goes into things like this, and they are super confident with what they've showed with Days Gone, and what I've seen of this game, it's led me to be pretty confident as well. Next title might be a little bit jarring to you guys as well, and a lot of you guys might think this is better off waiting for a sale on. However, let me explain. Borderlands Game of the Year Edition drops on April 3rd, and I would say it is a buy. Now, usually with remasters, I'm very selective on which games I recommend. They really have to be priced accordingly, and I think with Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, is the pricing out of this world good? No, but a $29.99 price point for Borderlands Game of the Year Edition is about right. You get the base game, you get all of the DLC, of course the game's remastered on the PS4. It's gonna be a quality experience, and for $30, all of the content you're getting is quite good. Now, it is a 10-year-old game at this point, so that argument can obviously be made. However, as far as this game going on sale, I don't think it's gonna happen all too quickly, and let me explain why. The physical version of this game is going to be a GameStop exclusive, so inherently they have no impetus on dropping the price to compete with other retailers. On the other side of things, if you look at the game digitally, I don't think the game's gonna go on sale all too much. I look at a game like Borderlands 2 VR, and that game has really held up in value. I just don't think Gearbox is gonna be in all too much of a rush to discount this game. Now, come April 3rd, maybe they'll announce something like Borderlands Game of the Year Edition as a part of the Borderlands 3 Special Edition or something like that. That's more of an off-the-wall prediction. However, if you're interested in Borderlands 1, if you want to revisit the game on the PlayStation 4, I think dropping $30 for the game is absolutely fine, especially considering this is a game with an insane amount of content to it, a lot of replayability, and you're definitely going to want to play it ahead of Borderlands 3's release, and that'll probably come sometime this fall. So this would be a great game to either get right away or pick it up sometime in the summer and play it over the summer to really get ready for Borderlands 3, which will probably be out before the end of the year. Next up, this is another re-release of some old games, but this is a super easy buy. That is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. That drops April 9th, and this includes all 3 of the Phoenix Wright titles that were released on the Game Boy Advance, remastered on the PlayStation 4. They obviously look better. They are great visual novels, light on the gameplay, but very good storytelling. And as I mentioned off the top, they are 3 Game Boy Advance games, so obviously pricing had to be right. You could not price this game at $49.99, God forbid $59.99, but it's a Capcom published title, and Capcom has been on point with all of their releases, and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy is another one they're on point with. 3 games for the very palatable price of $29.99. And as far as the games themselves go, they are very good. Again, very story-driven titles, light on the gameplay. However, if you're into games like this, if you enjoy visual novels like Danganronpa, Phoenix Wright Ace Ace Attorney is going to be right up your alley, and the Trilogy drops April 9th again just for $30. Next up, I think this is the easiest game to put in the buy category. I think if you are a PlayStation 4 owner, this game is one that you should pick up right away, and that is the Dreams Early Access. That comes April 16th. Now, the Dreams Early Access should be a buy for many reasons. Obviously, it's Dreams, and it's the next game from Media Molecule, so inherently it's a very exciting release. However, the real reason I think you guys should pick this game up right away is it's a limited release, so only a limited number of people are going to get into the early access, although Media Molecule does say they have a lot of spots open. However, that's based on their internal expectations for this game. I think expectations for this game should be a little bit higher as we get closer and closer to the release, and as people really see what this game is capable of, I think the recognition and attraction for this game is just going to increase. However, most importantly, Dreams Early Access is going to be released for just $30. Yes, and if you buy the early access, you are going to end up getting the full game when it's released. So not only do you get to try out the game early, and it is going to evolve over time, but on top of that, you're going to get the game 50% off, and you are going to get the full game after it's all done. That is so awesome. This is an easy buy. The game itself is probably going to be worth $60. It's a game with an incredible amount of longevity attached to it. Content-wise, it's going to be absolutely insane, and now with this early access dropping on April 16th for just $30, yes, an absolute buy. Next up is a game that, from a personal standpoint, it's probably a wait for a sale on. However, I just know so many of you guys are super excited for this that I would be remiss to not put it in the buy category, and that is, of course, Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11 hits the PlayStation 4 on April 23rd, and it is a game that I would say is a buy. However, all of these fighting games have really been turning me off, and Mortal Kombat 11 is no exception based on all of the DLC that they're releasing for these games. It's just an obscene amount of DLCs. They do season pass after season pass. It's just not something I like to see in gaming, and it really seems like while there have been a lot of games that have gone with the free DLC route, fighting games is just a genre that, man, they're going to juice the player drive. But I guess that's just something that's accepted in the fighting game community now, and it's to be expected with all fighting games. I'm sure from a fundamental and gameplay standpoint, Mortal Kombat 11 will be a very compelling game, and it'll be a rather remarkable game. It's just the season pass thing puts me off. I think for a lot of you guys that aren't super into fighting games, it is best to wait for like some sort of complete edition or whatever the case may be. But I know a lot of you guys are eager to get Mortal Kombat 11. You're eager to play it with all of your friends, and you're eager to play it competitively. And if you're in that boat, obviously I would say it's in the buy category. It drops April 23rd. Next up, we have My Time at Portia. That'll come April 16th, and this is a game that's already been released on PC. It's at the budget price of $30, and it's been received incredibly well. I've seen a lot of comparisons to games like Stardew Valley and Harvest Moon. You start a new life in the enchanting town of Portia, restore your paused and neglected workshop to its former glory by fulfilling commissions, growing crops, raising animals, and befriending the quirky inhabitants of this charming post-apocalyptic land. You've got your pa's old handbook and workbench, but you must gather, mine, and craft your way to being crowned the #1 workshop. Help the locals rebuild the town and uncover the secrets locked deep away beneath. Be prepared though, it won't be easy. Pretty compelling game on PC. Now it makes the transition to PlayStation 4, and I imagine it'll make a pretty smooth transition. Again, the game drops April 16th. And lastly, a game we don't even have an official release date for, but when it drops in April, it is a buy, and that is Super Meat Boy Forever. Super Meat Boy is one of the most iconic indie games of all time, and now, all these years later, we finally have a sequel with Super Meat Boy Forever. Expect a far more expansive experience, as it is the sequel, and it's an all-new experience that eclipses the original. It's out 7,200 individually handcrafted levels combined dynamically to give you a new challenge every single time you play. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of content and a lot of longevity. We'll see what the game is priced at. I'm putting it in the buy category with the idea that it's not going to be priced more than $14.99. If they hit $19.99, I probably would still keep it in the buy category, but anything above that, at that point, I would say wait on a sale for. So again, with the idea of it being $15, at most $20, it's a buy. Anything over, wait for a sale. Alright, so those are all of the games I would say are buys. That's 7 games more than I usually recommend, but there are some quality games dropping in April. With a wait for a sale, I just want to quickly cover a couple of games, and then I want to round it out by looking at the other games that it's kind of a foregone conclusion that they're wait for a sale. But some games to wait for a sale on that I want to highlight: Earth Defense Force Iron Rain drops April 11th. I love EDF. I think it's a great franchise. However, these games are just not $60 titles. Earth Defense Force would be a fantastic series if each game released at $40, because they're just zany, arcadey third-person shooters that are a lot of fun. However, at a full $60, it's just a little bit too expensive. This one does look rather good. However, wait for a sale on, and that is going to end up paying dividends. Katana ZERO is another game I'm super excited for. That drops April 18th. We don't have pricing information on this. I imagine it'll be $14.99 to $19.99. This is a game to absolutely keep your eyes on, because it could be one of the surprise hits of the year. However, just on the basis that these games are usually rather short and it's of a new IP, We just don't know how it's going to turn out. However, Devolver Digital has put out some very compelling products, and I imagine Katana ZERO will be another one. Definitely one to keep on your wish list, see how it's received, and then go from there depending on the pricing as well, but I would say wait for a sale on initially. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid drops April 2nd, and the reviews are already coming out for this one, and it's not looking all too good. From a fundamental standpoint, as far as a fighting game is concerned, mechanically it seems to be good. However, it kind of just lacks all of the presentation elements, and considering one of the drawing factors of this game was just on the basis of it being a Power Rangers game, that's quite a bit disappointing. Maybe a game to pick up on sale. It's already coming out at a pretty cheap price point at $19.99, but fighting game fans, Mortal Kombat 11 is probably the game you're going to be drawn to even at a more hefty price. Battle for the Grid can wait a little bit. Again, that drops April 2nd. A couple of other story-driven titles have me very interested. Zanki Zero Last Beginning looks to be a pretty interesting title. It's a Spike Chunsoft game. However, it is coming out at a full $60, and that seems to be a little bit hard of a recommendation. Keep your eyes on this game. Spike Chunsoft games typically don't go on sale rather quickly. Remember, they published Danganronpa 3 as well, and that game held up in price for a very long time. However, still at a full $60, I just don't think Zanki Zero is quite at that caliber, but a game to keep your eyes on, especially if you're into more of those Japanese story-driven games. Another game that follows in the similar boat, Our World Has Ended. This is a PQ published title, and it follows Judgment 7, a team of young developers working on a brand new game engine called the World Program. When wearing an augmented reality headset, this revolutionary program changes the landscape in real time. A story-driven visual novel here, another game we don't know pricing information on, so if it's released at a full $60, it's gonna be a tough sell on it. However, if you are into these styles of games, keep your eyes on it and see how the general reception is and go from there. However, I do imagine it's gonna be priced kind of hefty, and that's gonna close the door for a lot of you guys. Fade to Silence is a pretty interesting open world survival game that drops on April 30th. However, it's already been released on PC in an early access form, and the reception has been kind of mixed. The full version on the PlayStation 4 is going to add some elements, so this is a game you'll definitely want to keep your eyes on. I believe the PC release was $29.99, but that price is almost certainly to go up with the full release. I imagine it'll be $39.99 or even $49.99, so that is kind of a hefty price point, considering the game has had a mediocre reception on PC, but keep your eyes on it. Depending on the content they add on the PlayStation 4, they could turn the tide on this one because the general premise is quite interesting. World War Z is another game that was getting a lot of attention. However, at a full $60 title, it's going to be a tough sell. It's a thrilling 4-player cooperative third-person shooter featuring massive swarms of zombies that recklessly rush their living prey. In terms of premise, it's not all too interesting. However, if you are dying for a cooperative experience, it could be a pretty interesting one, but that means you got to sell your friends on it too, and if it's a full $60 release, yeah, that's going to be a little bit difficult. Very much see this one hitting the bargain bin rather quickly. I know that's kind of depressing to say that about a game ahead of its release, but I think as far as your wallet is concerned, it's going to pay dividends to wait a couple months to pick up World War Z. I could see it being down to, $20, $30 by midsummer. Shovel Knight Showdown is releasing on April 9th. That's an extension to Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. It'll allow you to duel up to 4 players and scramble after gems as your favorite heroic or villainous knights in Shovel Knight Showdown. Obviously just an extension, a new mode. It'll be released standalone with a story mode as well, so pretty interesting. However, it's not your traditional Shovel Knight experience, so in that sense, I would say wait on this one for a little bit, but a rather interesting game nonetheless. And I would say those are all of the major games that I would say wait on a sale for. A couple of VR titles I do want to know. Ghost Giant is coming out. It's a puzzle adventure from the studio behind FE and Flipping Death. It's not like FE and Flipping Death were superb games, however, they were rather interesting, and FE in particular, I thought it was pretty good. Ghost Giant is a game for you VR owners to keep your eyes on. Probably not worth a full, $40 on launch if that's what it's going to be priced at, but I do like what the game's going for. Evan's Vault has you explore the lost ruins of the Nibelia, read ancient inscriptions, and uncover a forgotten past in a narrative archaeological science fiction adventure game from the creators of 80 Days. Another story-driven title, a title we don't know much about. Can't say it's a buy just yet. And lastly, Falcon Age is another VR title, a first-person single-player action-adventure title. Play as Aura and you learn to hunt, gather, and fight to reclaim her cultural legacy in the lost arc of falcon hunting against a force of automated colonizers. Falcon Age is coming to the PlayStation 4, and it has optimal PlayStation VR support, so it's not entirely a VR game, but if you do want to accentuate the experience, that is an element that is focused on, and you can play using the Move controllers, the DualShock 4, and with the DualShock 4, you can have standard FPS controls, so that's something I wanted to note as well. Another title, depending on pricing, it could be a pretty interesting pickup. And that's going to conclude this video. I wanted to cover every game that was coming out, even though some of these games are a little bit more unknown. I wanted to highlight them and give them some recognition, even if they aren't direct buy titles right away. Games that are interesting, and I would say add them to your wish list and see how the pricing turns out, see how the general reception goes. But in the case of the April game releases, Days Gone I think is going to be quite good. Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, because it's a GameStop store exclusive for the physical copy, digital copy, I don't see it going on sale all too quickly. If you want to play through Borderlands 1 again, I'm saying that's a buy. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, 3 games for $30, that's a steal. Dreams early access out of every game in the buy category. This is the home run slam dunk on April 16th. Log on to the PlayStation Store and pick that up. It is a great value considering you get the full game as well. Mortal Kombat 11, yes, I'm not a big fan of all the Season Pass content, but I'm sure the game is going to be really, really great, and for fighting game fans, it's an absolute buy. We already know My Time at Portia is going to be really good, and Super Meat Boy Forever, depending on the pricing, $14.99 to $19.99 at most. That's an easy recommendation as well, given the quality of the first title. That's gonna conclude this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know which titles you're the most excited for in April, which PS4 games you're planning to pick up next month. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.